Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to reduce the height of your bamboo plant, encourage the top to bush out and to help create thicker, more lush foliage. Let's get to it. You can find bamboo can get really quite tall, and different varieties get to different heights. You may want a specific colour or cane thickness bamboo to provide a certain look or effect in the garden. However, sometimes they can be the taller varieties, but there is a way to reduce their height. Now, you're not going to be able to cut the cane in half and expect it to do well. There are exceptions. Here is an example I found of a Philostachys nigra that canes outside the main clump had been lopped down to about a foot high. I was very surprised to see they bushed out so well. However, this is not the best option, as you're going to be cutting into the mature part of the cane, which has less auxins, which help it regrow and heal. But you will be able to cut off the growing tips by bringing the cane down to a branching node. By pruning the top of the bamboo, it will reshoot and bush out to produce lush green foliage, which will give a really nice topiary effect on top. The best time to do this is late spring or during the summer months, and the way this is done is by taking a clean, sharp pair of secateurs or loppers, and you want to cut to a node, a branching node at that. So these are all nodes along the cane here, and you want one with branches or leaves coming out of there so it can reshoot from them. So cut straight across there, and that's it. You want to cut just above node. You cut somewhere in the middle. As we all know, bamboo is hollow, so that will just fill up with water. So you want to come just above that node there. And that's a nice cut. So you can see we've cut just above the node there, as a node is where two pieces of the stem on the cane join together. Keep your cuts blunt by cutting straight across, as angled cuts are quite sharp on bamboo and can cause injuries when you come to prune the following years. You only want to prune mature canes that have hardened, and leave the new canes, as these are soft, and by cutting into them you're more likely to cause rot and dieback, and the cane won't establish properly. So just leave these guys till the end of the summer until they've established and hardened. I also wouldn't cut down to the lowest branching node, as all of the foliage will grow from one point, making it top heavy and more likely to snap out. The higher you can cut the bamboo, the better, as there's going to be more foliage available for the bamboo to produce food. In this scenario, I want to maintain the height of the hedge to continue along the bamboo there. So I'm going to be cutting the bamboo at the same height of the hedge to create a modern, toparied, formal look. You always want to go lower than your desired end height. As you can see, this cane's down here, which is below the hedge height. But I know this is going to thicken up and bush up to here, so I can go over with the secateurs year after year, rather than hitting thicker canes. So you can see I've cut to a branching node here. I've also taken the side branches back a little bit, and you'll see they actually do have some shoots coming out of those. So all the energy that was going to these previous branches is now going to be going to here, which will encourage these shoots to bush out and create lush foliage on top. Here you can see some young canes. So these I'm going to have to leave, but I'll come back in the summer just to nip the tops of these ones off. Here's another example where I've cut it back to the branching node here, and these branches have got little shoots on. So I'm going to cut these back to help thicken up and encourage that, and keep it at that manageable, consistent height. While you're here bringing the top down, you're more than able to bring the sides in as well, so it doesn't become overhanging and overbearing. These sort of shoots can come back, and then that will thicken up to create that lush green screen. And you can see all these, the new canes and branches of this year's. So once again can come back in the late summer once these are fully matured, and cut those back. If you catch it early like I've done, you don't need to take off too much of that top growth, which will help retain that luscious flowing look. And just with these young canes emerging this year, I know I can catch them later in the summer to take their height down. A good way to keep the top of your bamboo level is, if you're on flat ground, use your body as a marker. So you can prune from the top of your head, your shoulder, or your chest. You can use this technique on a ladder as well. If you're on a ladder, remember to stand on the same step every time, then use your body as a marker. If you're on sloping ground, you can use this technique to get consistent sloping height following the ground level. If your ground is uneven, then take a piece of string and run it along the line of the bamboo you're cutting. Then step back, make sure you're happy with how the string line looks. Once you're happy, then you can use the string as a guideline to cut the bamboo height to. When pruning the top of the bamboo, you may need to take back some of the side shoots that come off of that node, or the side branches, to help keep it with that consistent height. Here you can see this bamboo has been regularly topped to reduce the height and to have a consistent level height along there. But you can see how it's really thickened up, and there's all these new shoots. So it certainly is possible to get a good result if you prune it correctly. And it really does thicken up and look like a hedge. You can coincide this with pruning the sides to thicken up the sides as well, and you can create a complete hedge out of bamboo. Now there's a couple of examples here I want to show you. This one has been pruned similar to the others, although that one is quite a close prune, but it still survived. That's a better example. So you can see that one's been topped up there. We've got a little bit of dye back, and then it's regrown from further down. This one was cut extremely close with no dye back and absolutely fine. Here's another example which has been topped at the top there, which you would think would have just regrown up there, but there's about a foot worth of dye back and then reshot and regrown from down there. This one's been cut, and there has been a complete cane dye back. So the whole cane has completely died, so that one needs to come out now. Although that thickness of cane is not dissimilar to this one. And it's had a similar sort of prune there, but this one's survived. Potentially because this one's on the edge, might not have got enough water, or too much sunlight has dried it up, but it's good to show you it's not one rule for everything, and there will be anomalies within that. So here you can see a small cut there, just to whip off maybe a little bit of growth that was out of line, and it's regrown and got some nice new shoots there. So you can see the kind of yellowing on the bamboo leaves. You'll usually get that at this time of year. They're going to drop those, kind of shed the old leaves before it puts on these new ones. So don't need to worry about those sort of bits. You're even able to top something like this, which is a bit of a monster. Now, when topping this one, I'm not going to be as regimented as the previous pruning, as I'm just trying to remove some of the larger, more heavy canes to prevent it from swaying and overhanging this area. So I'm just coming in here, taking it up just above the node. So this is all wastage, so it would have been like that, and those foliage bits are all left. And at the front there, I took some of these side shoots away just to give it that consistent and even height. But in this one, I'm just going to let it go as natural as possible, leave all these ones and just take out some of that height there. While I'm at it, anything overhanging in my face, that can come off now as well. That whole cane can come out, to be honest. It's just falling over completely. So if you've got quite a thin cane system, you could just tie this one back in, but where it's so dense in here, I'm just going to remove it completely. So I'm going to need to prune some more of the sides here, just so I can get my ladder close enough. One tip I did want to mention is if you're unable to reach the bamboo off the ladder because it's too far back in the clump, then you can reach it from the ground by carefully bowing it down and pruning, just like that. Just remember to tuck it in back where it came from. You can see here where I'm just cutting. That was a previous cut, and it's had different shoots and branches come off there, so I'm going to be removing those. As it's too far forward. But you can see there's the root barrier, so that's perfectly within there. And you can see the height across here still gives off that natural look, but it's far reduced from that sort of height, which could quite easily catch the wind, and it causes other canes to get pushed out as well. And there we are, a more consistent level height along there, which is going to be a lot more manageable and structurally sound. As you're cutting some of these tops out, you can actually feel, holding in your wrist, how much weight there is, how heavy that is. As these are the apex buds, this is where all the energy and nutrients go, so it's going to be the thickest, dense foliage. So it then causes the bamboo to sway a lot, which is a fantastic architectural feature, but it will cause it to droop and overhang, which isn't ideal next to a lawn. That's a far better result for that bamboo. As before, it was well up there, and it's still got a huge amount of height on there, and it's nice and thick and dense, but without that overhanging arch due to the weight at the top. Now, if you read some gardening books on the subject, a lot of them will avoid talking about pruning the height, or simply say it is not to be done as it ruins the plant's overall look and effect. However, I do find it worthwhile to prune the height in certain situations to give the desired effect I want to create. It thickens the top foliage and keeps the plant at a manageable and consistent height. Last thing you can do to help rejuvenate the bamboo after a prune is to give it water and a feed. When you feed your bamboo, you can give it various different types of fertilizers, both granular and liquid. The key nutrients you want to give them is nitrogen, as that's the main component needed for chlorophyll production, which will help promote foliage growth and repair. Today I'm choosing to give it homemade compost mulch and a water to provide a slow release feed and to help create water retention within the soil. By reducing the height of the bamboo in this situation is really going to help it become more structurally sound, less likely to be blown over or damaged by the wind, and prevents it from drooping or hanging over this area in front of me. That's it for this video. Hope you found it useful and entertaining. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Anyone who does so really does help the channel grow, and it's much appreciated. If you're interested in this sort of content, do check out my channel. There's lots of other gardening videos on there for you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.